Hi everybody, it is Miss Anna here again, and I'm here with our church school lesson for this week. We're actually going to start with a game this week. So you guys have a choice. You can either play together as a household and you guys can all work together to get the answers, or you guys can compete against each other and see who's the best at the game in your house. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture of something. They're almost all things that are pretty familiar and around, but it's going to be a really close-up picture, and you're going to try and guess what it is, and then I'll show you what the item is, the full-size picture of it, and we'll see how many you guys can get right, okay? So here's our first one. Can anyone guess what that one is? Okay. Any guesses? That one is a pacifier. Go for our next one. Does this one look familiar? Let's see, this one is a highlighter. I guess we just got a marker for that one too. How about this one? I bet a few of you guys can guess what this one is. Does it look familiar? That one is a guitar. How about this? Any guesses? That one is a Pikachu toy. There you go. It's our second to last one. This one's kind of tricky. Anyone guess what that could be? Kind of funny looking. All right, any guesses? That one is an avocado. All right, and our last one. Any guesses what that one might be? Your last guesses. This one's been talked about a lot recently. That one is some toilet paper. So I showed you these pictures because almost all of them are things that are kind of normally around us, but it might be kind of hard to recognize them. And that's just like our Bible lesson today. In our story today, it takes place right after the resurrection, after Jesus has risen from the dead. And there were two of Jesus's followers. So these weren't the disciples, but they were two followers of Jesus. And they were walking, they had just left Jerusalem, and they were walking back to their hometown. And they were talking about the things that had happened, about Jesus dying, and what the women had said, that they had gone to the tomb and that Jesus was now alive. And they were walking, and someone came upon them on the road, and it was Jesus. But even though these men had followed Jesus, they didn't recognize him. So they saw him, and Jesus said, "What are you guys talking about?" And they looked at him, and they said, "You must be the only person in Jerusalem that doesn't know what is going on." And so they talked about Jesus and the amazing things that he had done, the miracles, and what Jesus had taught about God. And they said, well, he was crucified, and he was dead. But people are saying now that he is no longer dead, that he's alive. So as they were walking, and then they invited Jesus to their home for a meal that night. And so as they went to go have that meal, they still didn't recognize him. But then Jesus, before the meal, he picked up some bread, and he went to break it and say a prayer. And as he did that, the men recognized him right away. And as soon as they recognized him, he disappeared. And they said to each other, they're like, "How did we not know?" When we were taught, they said when they were walking on that road, they knew something was going on. They felt it in their hearts, but they couldn't figure out exactly who he was. But as soon as he broke that bread, they knew it was Jesus, and they knew that he was alive. And so they went right back to Jerusalem, and they told the disciples what they had seen. And the disciples said, "Yes, we saw him too. Jesus is alive." And so this lesson about the followers of Jesus right after the resurrection, I think they have a lot to teach us about how God can be right in front of our face sometimes, and it's hard to recognize what God is doing even when it is right in front of our face. there are some times when I've prayed for something, I've prayed for something and over and over again, and then it happens. And even though I've prayed for it over and over again, I almost forget. And I say, wow, isn't that lucky that that happened? And oh my gosh, I'm so glad that happened and that worked out. And then I have to say, oh my gosh, it didn't just happen. I had been praying for this. And so I have to stop and say, thank you, God, for being there for this. And even though God is right in front of me, it's hard to see what God is doing. And so what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is to think about ways that God is around you, and you sometimes forget that that is God right in front of you. Maybe that's in the love you have in your family, or things you see in nature, or things that have happened around you. I bet you guys can come up with some good examples of ways that God has been right in front of you and you didn't realize it right away. So I encourage you guys to do our activities that we have on our page that have to do with our lesson today. It's from our Bible verses. It's Luke 24:13 through 35. So you guys can read that, or read the Walk to Emmaus in a children's Bible, and then do the activities. They're listed on our webpage, stpeterspress.org/kids. And you can click the button for this lesson. I am thinking about you guys and praying for you every day. And I am just joyful at the thought about when we will get to be together again. So take care, and I'll see you soon.